Winback Farm of Ontario is home to 4 exceptional trotters. New in 2021 is Trixton, a proven sire of major stakes winners and the son of Muscle Hill. Archangel, sire of multiple Ontario Sire Stakes Gold winners and millionaire Guardian Angel Oz. My MVP, sire of 2020 Ohio Sire Stakes champion Perron, first Ontario crop of the yearlings in 2021, and Breeders' Crown winner The Bank, who stands his second North American season in 2021. For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Green Shoe will win the Kentucky Futurity. It's all Hanover in 149 and 2.
You're my candy girl, 148 and 2, a stakes and trend record.
Percy Blue Chip for the victory.
Chuck, we're here with you at Spring Garden Ranch, where you've been for the last 4 years. You've had an illustrious career, a Hall of Famer, multiple Hamiltonian wins. Tell us a little bit about how the business has changed over the years.
Well, I really believe that if it wouldn't be for the casinos, we wouldn't have much of a business. We've been shrinking quite a bit, and the casinos are keeping the horsemen going. The day that they take everything away from the horsemen, we're going to be in trouble. We'll always race because we're that way. We'll race if the purses are $1,000. We'll race amongst each other just to race. But it's never going to be like it used to be.
You are known for developing this young talent. You also have found several 2-year-olds at bargain prices. Some of your most notable horses, Chip Chip Hooray, $20,000, Pine Chip, $17,000, Lucky Chucky, $10,000. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking for and how you're finding those deals.
Well, I like to see a horse. First of all, I got to give my partner a lot of credit, Neil Goldman. He works all summer on pedigrees. He's strictly a pedigree guy, and he has certain horses we're going to look at. And of course, then there's other ones that catch my eye as we're looking. But anything that I see that he picks out that we can afford, we're probably going to bid on. I like horses that toe out a little in front. A lot of guys don't like that, but I do. And I don't like a real wide-chested horse. But as far as that goes, if they got a nice head on them and body, and can trot a little on the video, that's good enough for me.
So you would start with the pedigree then, of course, first, and then move to, then is it video? Is it going to farms?
Well, going to farms in their confirmation. There's a few horses that I wouldn't have been able to have bought because they wouldn't have passed most people's confirmation. And I got away with it because I watched them in the fields, and they didn't go at their knees too bad, so I took a shot.
Great. Well, you've done well on that. One of the other ones that you mentioned was a $200,000 purchase, Muscles Yankee. What turned you on to that colt?
Well, he was one of the best bred Valley Victories that sold that year, and he did paddle just a little in front. But he was a real long horse and a big horse, and we give $200,000 for him. And I could have got in, and I didn't. I should have, I guess. He's been a very good sire, and he was a very good horse.
When people mention your name, and I would say the first thing that you hear people bring up is Mack Lobel. Tell me about him and your time with him, breaking him and molding him into the horse that he became.
He took a lot of weight early in his year, but he had a good gait to him. And we knew in February that he was a little special. One day we were training him, and one of my boys was training him. He made a break. We was going to go mile around 240, and he made a break. And so I said, okay, he's going another trip. So I brought him in and took him myself, went down to half and 20, and got after him. He went a mile and 22, and I knew then that he was a little bit special.
When you bring them home from the sale, they get down here. Tell me, what is their routine regarding gating them, adding weight, shoes, things like that?
Well, it's not like it used to be. They're all pretty natural now. You can take and I put all their shoes off and I get them from the sale, and we start breaking them, and most of them go right out there and trot. It's not near as complicated as what it used to be. You have very few horses that need weight anymore, probably because the breeding has gotten so fine. In fact, you'll see a lot of the foreign guys racing barefooted all around, and you couldn't have done that years ago.
Another question, we ask other trainers that we've been visiting with to tell us some questions that they would have for you. One of the questions was regarding trotting hobbles. What are your feeling with using those early in the career?
Well, and I didn't used to use them at all. And then I watched Ray Schnichter put them on, and the horses seemed like it steadied him. I thought it took speed away from him, but evidently it didn't. So now I have a filly, I have trotting hobbles on her already this year. She didn't want to trot in around 3 minutes. She didn't have any speed. I put them on her, and she's been a mile and 2:30 and does it very easy. So certain horses, they really help.
We've heard you say a couple times this winter to us about watch the speed limit, don't get caught speeding. I know that it's easy to do down here in Florida. You keep to yourself in training sets where you control the tempo.
I try to. I've been teasing your father a little once in a while because they've been going a little fast, I thought. And Charlie Norris, I have to get after him because he wants to speed a little. But, you know, they are what they are, and some of them come to their speed quicker than others. And when they do, as long as you don't hurt them it's not like it used to be. It doesn't take a lot of work anymore.
So you've developed them, it's becoming spring, they're getting ready to go north. What do you do changing from the clay track to the stone dust tracks regarding gating, shoeing, prep? What goes into this time of year?
Well, down here, you can have a horse if you want to barefooted all winter. It doesn't matter. They'll go that way. But when you get to the stone dust tracks, you need shoes. But if we do have shoes on them, we either put swedges or make sure they're sharply shod because they have to have grab up there. They'll slip.
Let's talk a little bit about your philosophy. You've said that you take your time with them. Your most notable horse this year was Arnold and Dickey. He started out in Stallion Series competition, then moved to Sire State competition, and then on to Grand Circuit competition. Is that typically your normal progression?
Well, I don't like to put them in over their head. And I felt if we started him out in the Stallion Series, he could win pretty easy, which he did. But he was a horse that had a lot of ability, and I felt that if I didn't race him too hard, he would end up good and come back as a good 3-year-old.
Tell us a little bit about his schedule. What are we gearing towards?
I think the first stake is at the Meadows May 15th, and I hope to have at least 2 qualifiers in him by then, and we'll shoot for that.
Okay, great. A question, let's move on to the 2-year-olds. We've got some video of them going. Let's talk first about Simon, a $70,000 purchase consigned from Preferred Equine, and as we all know, Simon is famous at Preferred. So tell us a little bit about how this colt came to be in your stable.
Well, he caught my eye at the sale. I thought he was a good-looking horse. I didn't have him picked out. I didn't think I could buy a Walner. And when I looked at him, I really like this colt. So we ended up bidding on him and got him for $70,000, which wasn't, it was pretty reasonable for a Walner. And I like him. He's okay.
The filly that you purchased for $40,000, born on third base, is out of the mare, the house that Ruth built. And we saw her train the first day we were here. She trained great, and then the next day came up just afterwards, and you had your hands full. She was still ready to go.
Yeah, I think what happened that day, I was just going to jog her a little, and somebody come up behind me, and it's kind of spooked her in the way she went, and she didn't want to let up. But, Donato's fillies will do that. They'll get a little hot on you, so I'm going to have to concentrate on getting her to relax a little.
What would that mean? Is that something that you do? Is that a training schedule change, or is that with equipment?
Mostly equipment. She's got a blind bridle on right now. We'll go to can't see backs and probably an open bridle.
Okay. And not to be forgotten is the Winback Donna's Dance, $35,000, consigned by Winback, purchased back by Winback, and in training with you currently.
Yeah, she's been just kind of a slow learner. I've only been a mile and 240 with her, taking it easy, and I think maybe eventually she'll get there.
That's the thing with 2-year-olds. You really have to schedule it per horse and per individual. Can you tell me what goes into that? What's your thinking behind how do you determine A group to B group?
Well, now I only have 3 babies, but I let them do what they can do easy. I don't want them to come back and have their last quarter slow. I want them always to have their last quarter the fastest. As long as they do that, then you can move them along the next week. But we have to, like I say, each one's an individual.
Family is so important to you. You moved back here to be around family. Kylie is here at the barn with you, your granddaughter, often. And I see that she is part of your training program as well, because very often she's out riding these things in the afternoon.
Yeah, she enjoys riding, and sometimes and she's busy now because she's in school. But when she wasn't in school, she'd come out and train with us a little. And then certain horses in the afternoon, she would get on and ride them, and it really helps them settle down.
Let's talk a little bit about Kelly Smith. She is the caretaker of the year this year, and just watching her here with you, she's as close to you, it seems, as a daughter herself.
Yeah, she's nonstop work. She's no nonsense. She has been with me for a long time, and she doesn't miss a thing. She likes money, so she wants her horses to do well, but she's very, very good.
Chuck, you're known to sit out here, have your cigar, hang out with your dog, Jack. What are you looking for, and what are you analyzing when you see these other trainers going by?
Well, I have a lot of time now. With 5 horses, I get done real early. I'm finished by 9:30. So I'll sit out here if it's a nice day, and I'll watch these other horses train. And then, a lot of these things, I can see lameness, and they're still training them every week. I don't know why, but they are. And I can sit here and pick out that some horses are pretty sore this time of the year. But it's something for me to do and can pass this time.
Do you find that a lot of the horsemen come and ask you your opinion? I know you gave advice to our stable earlier this week about switching to the race bike once you hit 25 for the trotters, making it easier. Do you do that with most of the stables here?
If they ask, me to look at something, then I'll tell them my opinion. But most of them are their own trainers, so they want to work it out themselves.
Along those lines, what are your feelings on the new styles of training? Galloping horses, straight tracks, intervals, different things. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that, interval training, the Swedes, I think, brought that over here, and they have success doing it. As far as the rest of it, these horses don't need the warm-ups like they used to. I know, 20, 30 years ago, we warmed up every 2-year-old 2 trips and won a pretty good last trip before they race. Now, a lot of 2-year-olds get jogged 2 or 3 miles and race. That's just a new style, and it seems like they hold up longer because otherwise I don't think they would hold up now.
What do you think in regards to equipment that was used very often, let's say 30, 40 years ago, that we no longer see, and also conversely equipment that we never saw before and is new?
Well, everybody does things differently. I'll try anything. If it's new, I'll try it. I don't mind. I know that you see some trainers, their first year they'll have a good horse, and that horse might have a chateau on and can't see backs. Well, the next 15 horses that he trains has a chateau and can't see backs. You can't do that. My horses are all hooked up and trained differently, and I have different bridles on all of them, and I think you have to adjust to the horse.
Chuck, tell us a little bit about now. New school thinking is more grooms per horses. They're not walking out after races. Different takes on whether to water is too much. All kinds of different new age opinions. Do you believe that those are because of increased knowledge and horsemanship, or what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think that a lot of guys have grooms rub 6, 7, 8 horses. Maybe because they can't afford to pay them more money. So it's really what a horse gets used to. As far as the water, if you give them water every time they come in, they're used to it. If you don't, then they'll get used to that too. But I really think that a groom can't rub 8 horses and do a good job. That's my opinion.
When you were at the height of your career, I know that we talked before, you had 80 horses, you had 5 riders, a caretaker for every 4 horses. Tell me a little bit about how you stayed on top of that, and how often did you get to sit behind those horses and see them?
Well, it's not easy. We had walkie-talkies back then. I had horses in 4 different barns, and if a horse didn't go well, then the next time I would take him. There were some of them that went very good, so I didn't get up behind them very often. But the ones that always took the horse that had the problems.
Did you think that you were able to analyze them just as well from the side view or from sitting here as you are behind them?
I think if you step behind them, you have a better opinion. There's no doubt about it. I have to take the word of the person that went with the horse otherwise. And that's why if the horse didn't train well, then the next time I for sure took him.
Chuck, tell me a little bit about your partners in the game.
Well, if you notice, I don't have a hat on. It's because my one partner owns a big farm, Steve Jones, Cameo Hills, but he's so damn cheap, he won't buy hats for anybody. He'll pay $500,000 for a broodmare, but he refuses to buy hats. So maybe this will get him to buy a couple hats for us.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm sure he'll note that. Also, tell us a little bit about, you talked about Neil Goldman. You've had a long relationship with another great, John Campbell. Tell me about some of those relationships.
Well, Neil's been with me since the late 70s, I think. And I've known John ever since I went to actually, he raced a little in Michigan when I raced there. Then he went to the Meadowlands. And I started using him up there, and he drove many horses for me and did very well. So, he was the greatest driver at the time, I thought, and will go down as one of the greatest ever. And one thing about John, when he come back with a horse, he had an opinion. I remember one time we were qualifying a bunch of babies, and we came back, and this filly was kind of slow. And he looked at me, he said, "Chuck," he said, "paint some white spots on her because she's a cow." And turned out to be she was.
That's good. Well, I love that.
Winback Farm of Ontario is home to 4 exceptional trotters. New in 2021 is Trixton, a proven sire of major stakes winners and the son of Muscle Hill. Archangel, sire of multiple Ontario Sire Stakes Gold winners and millionaire Guardian Angel Oz. My MVP, sire of 2020 Ohio Sire Stakes champion Perron, first Ontario crop of the yearlings in 2021, and Breeders' Crown winner The Bank, who stands his second North American season in 2021. For more information, visit winbackfarm.com.
Helver, Hanover, Oticon, Hanover up in
Green Shoe will win the Kentucky Futurity.
It's all Hanover in 149-2. You're my candy girl, 148-2, a stakes and trend record.
Hersey Blue Chip for the victory.